Hello, good afternoon and welcome to my humble model railway at Bedstead Junction. Just excuse me, I'm a little bit breathless. Now, I've just had this locomotive arrive today, another locomotive added to my collection. Now, as you probably know from some of my previous recent videos, I've taken quite an interest in the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway. It's something which is, even though I'm a Great Western fan, mainly, I've also had a great interest in the Somerset and Dorset, which also went over the West Country, and I believe that the locomotive I got today is another Somerset and Dorset engine. Now, before we unwrap, I'll just explain to you some of the things that I do when I receive an engine from a buyer. I mean, for a seller, pardon me, from eBay. This is where I got this particular one. Now, what I do is I set my track out, but I don't put any buildings down. Okay, so you can see it's totally bare, so if anything should happen, like a derailment, it's easier for me to grab the engine and retrieve it. And what I always do, and we'll go look down on the Lazy Susan this, I always get a known locomotive, a known good locomotive, and run it around the railway. And believe it or not, this lovely little 040 LMS engine, which came from Hornby, my first train set, is ideal. It will literally plough its way over any point. I don't think I've ever had it derail, ever. Okay, so that's what I use. And in fact, I mean, even though I'm opening up this lovely engine today, what I will say is, if any of you are actually starting out and this is this kind of engine you have, don't let that bother you. Get your layout done, a simple layout, get it out and run it and enjoy it. And enjoy it even if you've got engines like this, because I enjoy running these too. Okay, and then later on when funds allow, eventually you'll be able to buy bigger engines, but you'll always have, hopefully, time for these little engines like this too. Okay, so without any further ado, let's move on. And everybody says, shouting, why do you get out of the box? We can see it there in the distance in the Bachmann box there. Now, we'll have a look and see what we got. A Midland Class 4F, Bachmann, Model Railways. Got their website address there, scale 176. It was described as having slight damage to the box, which it has. I mean, it's got a few little scuffs there, but nothing of any great consequence, nothing that bothers me at all. Came very, very well wrapped, and it came way before the estimate of arrival. I mean, this is Thursday, and the estimated arrival was Monday of next week, so doing rather well with that. I think it's the 6th of January. Today. Now let's have a look and see now. Now on the back of here you've got a description of the locomotive and everything else. A brief one there. Okay. The Midland Class 4F was a class of steam locomotive which epitomised British goods engine design. Yeah, it's an 060. I'm going to go through it quite briefly. I won't read this out word for word. The designer was Henry Fowler, and the first two of these I think were produced in 1911, and after the grouping of 1923 the LMS continued to build locomotives until 1941. So this proves the worth of these locomotives, does it not? Okay, very few changed actually to the design. Now some were built with left hand drive and some were built with right hand drive. Now the Midland Railway version retained its original right-hand drive, and then the original ones were using second-hand Johnson tenders, and then they went on to use Fowler design flat-sided tenders. Now prior to grouping, 192 locomotives entered Midland Railway service, and 5 were built for use on the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway, which is the interesting bit here for me, being local to the Somerset and Dorset, or reasonably local. Now the actual Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway stock was actually transferred into NMS ownership in 1930. Now these engines were withdrawn between 1954 and 1965, and only one remains in preservation, 43924 on the, well now it says the Keith Ian Worth Railway. Anyway, but there we are, that's a brief history. Now, a lot of you will be saying, why don't you get the box open and everything else? Let's see it run and everything else. So we're getting there. Be patient. Okay. And there's our little, our Lazy Susan. We'll just put our little engine to one side there, our little 040. And we'll get this one out of the box. Usual outside sleeve, so that's come off nice and easy. That slid off beautifully. And it's got the normal block of ice packaging inside. I'll just remove that and we can take a look at it. Let's see if I can wedge my nails in the right place. There we go. Ooh, you can't wait, can you, eh? And there's the box. And I think for me the box is always important because it's all part of the experience, isn't it, of actually getting a locomotive. You know, you buy it and it comes, what does the box look like and everything else. 31881 class 4F 43875 BR Black here in the Emblem. There we go. Let's focus in quite nicely there. And it's come with the instructions how to remove the body shell, how to take the tender off, tender top off, and where to oil it. And the normal one, which I love with Bachmann, you get the exploded diagram with all the part numbers. So at least it gives you a chance, if needed, of finding the actual correct part for your locomotive if they're ever required. Now we've got the normal outside sleeve comes off. It's got the plastic sleeve. We're getting closer and closer to the locomotive, so don't worry, there we are, the outside sleeve there. And I should imagine this will come undone in the usual way. Oh, we've got a nice detail pack there. Looks unused to me. Oh yeah, got irons there, all sorts of stuff in there. Coupling, dummy coupling hooks. A NEM type coupler, probably to clip onto the front of the engine if required. So we'll just put the detail pack just on one side so we don't lose it. And then we're just going to get this, work out how this comes open now. Ah, there we go. So you just flick that open on the back there. This here. And voila, one locomotive. Okay, so we'll get this put to one side. A bit of a mess. And we're going to lift this one out of the block of ice packaging. Let's see if this will come out nice and easy. Now, if you haven't got a... sorry if you hear a bit of noise in the background, that's my phone going. Let's put that onto Do Not Disturb just a moment. It's all pretty live stuff, so let's have a look. Do Not Disturb, where is it gone? Right, that's it. That's... should mean you'll get no silly bleeping noises going off now. Now let's take a look at this locomotive. Let's see if we can get her in onto the turntable nicely. And this will be my first inspection of this locomotive. Now it looks as if it's arrived in perfect condition. In as much as there are no bits rattling around in the box. Okay, I always try to open up the box and not tip it over. Just lift the locomotive out, so if there are any bits in the bottom of the box, they don't fall onto the floor to be lost forever and to become vacuum fodder. Okay, so there we are. And there were no bits falling off the bottom of this locomotive. Now, we'll zoom in just ever so slightly, I think. There we go, so we're onto our locomotive now. It's got the early BR crest. In fact, we're going to come down a little as well. Let's come down a little bit. All good stuff. Right, okay, so there we are. We're more of a broadside view now. Let's just let the camera gather itself. Yeah, it's got the early BR crest. It's all in black, so obviously it's difficult for some details to maybe stand out for you. But you can see it's already fitted with the vacuum sort of pipe on the front there. And on the back, you can just about see that there. And the number 43875. Okay, all looking good. Now, looking through it, it's got quite a good deal of realism in that you can see sort of daylight coming through the boiler from underneath. Okay, so that must be how the actual real locomotive would have looked. I'm looking down inside, and it might be difficult to see from this distance, but there is actually some representation of valve gear down there, or mechanism underneath there. Obviously static, but very good to see nonetheless. You can see she's got an 060 arrangement there. Nice detail, nice sort of rivets and everything else as usual. Let's take a look at the front of the locomotive now. There we are, so we're zoomed in now. And you can see again 43875, and I believe probably just underneath might be the shed allocation plate. I'll get closer into that with a magnifying glass and look at that later on. I can see what that says. You can see the vacuum pipe there, and you can see the hole there ready to receive the hook should you decide to fix that on there. I know not everybody fixes on the detail packs, but keep it safe if you decide not to. Now we've got front buffers there which are sprung. Okay, so a lot of people, I mean, to be honest with you, in a practical sense, sprung buffers might not make so much difference to some people, but to many, that's a sign that it's a premium, more of a premium grade locomotive, and you're getting what you pay for. You're getting your money's worth. Okay, got this looking along the top there. You can see the chimney's all in black and the dome, and then the whistles at the back. I think the whistles and safety valve. I can't really tell whether they're made of metal or not. We'll have a closer look at that in a minute. Yeah, the buffer beam's got nice lot of rivets on it, so everything else. We're looking on there, nice and close. And we'll turn it around. Now, this is where, this is one of the questions which I'll be asking immediately when I look at this. Okay, if I'm thinking of putting a loco crew, which side does the driver go on? Okay, always put it on the same side. If you've got keen enough cab detail, you'll be able to see the reversing lever in the cab, so you know where to put the driver there. On some of the railroad type versions of locomotives, from say Hornby, that kind of thing, you might not get so much cab detail, but you need to look at what side the reversing rod's on. And on here, I don't know if you can see that down there, but it's clearly a right-hand drive locomotive. Similar to the Great Western, really. I think the Great Western are all right-hand drive. See the number once again, and our early BR crest. Nice rails going down the side as well, handrails. Some more lovely detail there. So far, very, very impressed with this particular model. You see we've got cab detail there, and that is a cracking cab. That really is. Let's see if we can get some extra light on that so we can... it is a pretty open cab, so I think it does need to have the detail on it. There we are, look at that. What a beautiful cab. You can see the reversing handle there and everything else. Yeah, beautiful. All picked out like, you know, that's all sort of brass and everything else in copper. Beautiful. I'm going to try and get down a little bit lower myself. I can just see if I might have to lift up the locomotive to get the next piece of detail. Let's just have a look so we can get in a bit better there. What I'm trying to see, I'm trying to hold a lamp in one hand and guide the camera in the other. We're going to try and see if we got extra detail on that cap. There you got good detail on there. I hope you don't... It's not going in out of focus, unfortunately. Yeah, looking right at the top of the cab is almost impossible. We even got the dials picked out. The dials picked out with the numbers. I mean, that is absolutely superb. Chance to have a look at the coal load as well. In fact, I'm going to zoom out a little bit because the camera finds it easier to focus if it's zoomed out a bit. There we go. The coal load, again, is that glossy coal load which Bachmann tend to produce. And that might divide opinion. Personally, I like it. It's okay. It's sort of nice and sparkly, and to me, that's a coal load that's been. It's got a full tender. and the fireman's hosed it down to suppress dust. Okay, that's the reason why you would have that. Or you got they're coming onto the back of the actual tender now as well. Again, you've got the pipe attached to the buffer there. Sprung buffers. And on the back you've got your NEM type coupling there. They're detachable. I mean, on some of my locomotives, depending on what kind of carriages I've got or wagons, some of them the actual couplers are fixed in place. You can't get them off, and so it's sometimes possible to replace these with the D-type coupling, a larger D-type coupling. I sometimes have done that. Okay, and in fact, if you're suffering from a lot of derailments, sometimes that's all it is. Okay, your actual wagons or carriages are not being allowed to go properly into the turns. Right, so we've got another view of her from above, and the cab and everything else there. Absolutely superb. What a lovely locomotive this is. Very fortunate to get this. Right, now I think what we've done is we've had a good look round her now. Yeah, got lovely handrails down the side. Very impressed. Okay, so the whistles as well on the back. They appear to be metal there. You can see them there. I'm going to zoom in on that. There's whistles and safety valves there. Again, beautifully represented. Yeah, the cab's glazed, so you've got glazed windows there on the front of the cab. Now, I will admit, I paid what some people may consider to be a bit of a premium to get this model, and fair enough, I did. I did. But the way that things are going now, models like this, not far removed from this. I mean, I know that the S&D coloured version of this was online for over £200. And I picked this one up for about, I think, including postage. I mean, if you, I think I got it for £82. It was probably about 90 if you include the postage. And this is the way that locomotive prices have been going. I mean, the days when you can pick up a fully detailed flight in Scotland for 55 quid, I'm afraid have gone. You know, people have realised what these locomotives are worth now. Now, something else which is worth mentioning before we take this one out onto the tracks. And that's the way that these are actually coupled together. We're going to move all the boxes out of the way as well while we're at it. And move out enough. But we're going to test it around the track. Now what I've done, like I said, I've run the little 040 Midland Railway locomotive around the track. And I've tested it down all the sidings and everything works. So we can try this now. And we can see how this locomotive itself behaves on the track. So you can see there I've got the railing ramp ready. If you don't have a railing ramp, whether you're a beginner or an expert, for me at least, it's made my life an awful lot easier. Especially when I'm working in the kind of environment I am here, where there's not much room around the side of around the side of this layout anyway. Everything can suddenly become very, very fiddly. So, and this has helped me no end in getting locomotives and carriages onto the track without too much problem. So we'll just get this on now. Now I've not done anything to this locomotive. Oh, the coupling, there's a little hook underneath. There we are, it's hooked on. Now, I've not turned the locomotive upside down yet. I've just noticed that the, yes, there is brake rigging, that wasn't in the pack. That's actually pre-fitted. Which for many people would say, yippee. Now, I prefer the brake rigging to be refitted, okay? And for one reason, and you might think I'm going off subject here, but I bought a King class, okay? Fitted the brake rig, it is a Hornby King class, and it wouldn't go back in the block of ice packaging. In fact, the block of ice packaging actually squashed down and broke the brake rigging. Okay, so that's something you need to bear in mind with some locomotives. I'd rather if they come with the brake rigging actually put on. If we need to ever remove it, it's never that big a problem. Now what we're going to do is we're going to see if this one actually goes, and hopefully we'll see if my oh, there we are. Wow, wow, wow. Oh yes, very nice. Okay, we'll follow her around. We're going to zoom out a little bit to get a better view of her going around. Okay. Shearing that point, no problem. No hesitation at all. In fact, what we'll do is we'll pick her up. A few things which have just crossed my mind to look at. We'll hold her nice and safely there. Try to get that coupling. Yeah, you've got pickups on the wheel, so I don't know if you can see that very clearly, but you can see there you've got brake rigging fitted, and there's also tender pickups there as well, which is helping conductivity. And also you can see there, you can see it there very clearly because it's all black, but there's a coupling, the coupling bar there. That on a on Bachmann locomotives normally locate onto a like kind of a post type thing, okay, and they come off, okay. It very often becomes detached, and the danger is that you could be towing this around by the tender and an entire train round by its wires. So you need to check before you put it down the rails that the actual loco and tender are actually coupled together correctly, and that you're not going around pulling everything, like I say, by the wires, because you could cause damage to the locomotive. And in fact I had a very, very close call with that. And although I've given this gentleman a shout out a few times over this, a shout out goes to Adi Puddin, who pointed this out to me when I was running a city class around the thing. Is your loco and tender properly attached? And the answer was back, no. Thanks very much for pointing that out. Okay, so there we go. That was a shout out to AD. Now away we go again, and you can see, very nice. Let's watch it go in reverse. Oh yeah, very nice. Okie dokie. Got no reason to question the performance of this locomotive at all. Sounds quite nice, no nasty noises or anything. So what I'm going to do is we're going to try over points. Now the first thing we'll be doing is we'll try her over the junction there. We're just going to reverse back. Okay. And we'll see what she's like on points. And if she derails, at least you'll know. At least you'll know. Now these points, really, it's very, very few in my locomotive collection that I've ever had any problems going over. They sometimes go over with a bit of a clunk, but you know, when you get engines of different ages, different sizes, shapes, you know, different wheel profiles and everything else, you're going to get a bit of a clunk sometimes going over points. Unfortunately, it's a fact of life. But we're going to try this one now and just see. Now, if we were running this with obviously with the buildings on, we would be putting gracefully into the station. Okay, so we'll give this a try now and just see what happens. Let's see now. Now it should go over those points without any trouble. Oh yes. Oh yes. And we can see now with a layout like mine. Now I have to be honest, I'm on a 6 foot by 4 foot layout on top of my bed as well, you know. I've had to really squeeze a quart into a pint pot to get the maximum interest on here. And I managed to get 4 sidings, okay, or little branches coming off the main line. And the way that is, you're quite close to the main running line there, okay. So and you're not missing by much. So I think somebody pointed that out on Facebook there, but that's why you need good control of your locomotive. Okay, a good loco and a good controller. You can see that there. That's moving at low speed very, very well. Really, really nice. Now, I think what we'll be doing is we'll be calling it a day shortly, because I don't want to run over the half-hour limit on my camera, because otherwise it means me having to put this whole thing through editing software, and it's going to take them like three hours to render it. Okay, my computer isn't the fastest, and I'm thinking about upgrading the computer actually. I mean, I can run rendering overnight. I mean, a lot of you will probably find this with your computers. 1080p, as they call it, which is standard, well, the high def HD, isn't it? Standard HD. That is the maximum what I can actually do on here. I would never dream of recording in 4K. A lot of people will be shouting out, no, 4K is better, but you have to think about, can your computer take it, you know, and all sorts of things like that. Maybe digressing a little bit here, but I'm filming this in 1080p, and you've got to think about rendering time and everything else. So I'm trying to avoid all of that on here. So I'm going to be quite quick now. So I'm going to put it into reverse. Ah, there she goes. It moved away so smoothly, I didn't notice it started. It was going beautiful. Look at that. Absolutely superb. I mean, those tender pickups are definitely helping as well. Okay, now we're going to run her in reverse now, because he very often will have run in reverse, possibly tender first. And we're on the junction now, the other junction. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to try her on this other junction as well briefly, and then we're going to call it a day. And I'm going to try and get this onto the computer and out without any additional titles or anything like that. Okay. But it means I can get this out for you to see today, hopefully. Now, let's put it into forward gear. Just show I'm quite close to those boxes there, but it will be fine. Now that is really nice. And you see, this is where close control, I mean slow control, or slow speed control is essential on a layout like mine. Okay. I mean, I think what I've done on this is I've probably squeezed about as much play value as I can into this layout. In the amount of space I've got to run this. And yes, this railway, as you know, this railway, for those of you who've subscribed to my channel, this is on a bed. This is a bed top layout, and it does go away at the end of every evening. Now, what I'm going to do before this camera runs out, I'm going to bid you farewell, okay, and goodbye until I get this out onto YouTube for you this afternoon. It's about 2:25 in the afternoon. If you like what you see, please tick that thumbs up button and subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. It does help my channel no end, and you'll be joining a small but elite group of subscribers. And I should bid you farewell for now. And we'll do later on, I might see if I can do a big bumper Somerset and Dorset running session. Okay, so I'm going to get that done this afternoon. Okay, I should bid you farewell and bye bye.